Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. By now, all of you are well aware that the launch of the first several spot XRP ETFs have been wildly successful. In fact, after just 14 business days, we're almost at $1 billion in total inflows. It's just astonishing, especially when you consider that for about half of that, there was only one spot XRP ETF, and it was the smallest one that is launched by a lot. So it's been pretty impressive what we've seen to this point. But did you know that just 4 days ago, on December 1st, there was supposed to be a fifth spot XRP ETF launched by a company that just didn't launch? It just kind of failed to launch. Or at least that's what was reported by, by my count, every single crypto media outlet on the planet. Just about. I'm only slightly exaggerating. It was reported that that was the case. And I'm talking about 21 shares. And it has not gone live. And they were hinting at things. Like here you can see a post from 21 shares on November 21st of this year. And they simply wrote, XRP Army, get ready. And of course, everybody knows what that meant. It's been well understood that they're one of the firms out there that long ago, at some point, actually, I think 2024 was I believe it was early November 2024 is when they filed initially for a spot XRP ETF. So we knew that it's coming, and it's supposed to still be coming. So what is actually going on here? Because you get headlines like this one from Benzinga, 21 shares XRP ETF launches December 1st amid fresh wave of institutional demand. And this is an article from December 1st, and they're claiming that it had launched, and it had not. So I'm guessing what they did here, because this is crypto media, and there's a high level of incompetency when it comes to crypto media outlets. You have to be very careful with them. They're basically, they're made up of like a bunch of C students. So I think what happened is there were plenty of assertions, and they weren't even considered rumors at the time. Just plenty of assertions, let's say, that 21 shares, it was reported as a matter of fact statement that they were going to go live. So then that day rolls around, and then Benzinga comes out and is like, oh, well, this is the day where we've been told they're going live, so I guess they're live now. And then they just reported it like it's a thing. The Crypto Basic believed the same date made sense. Here's a December 1st article. Analyst says this week will be a big milestone for XRP. And they noted the following. Notably, the 21 shares XRP ETF is launching today, joining Canary Capital, Bitwise, and others. Is that true, though? Is it actually launching? Not so fast. So what happened with these XRP ETFs? It comes down to one technical choice, and that's whether to keep or remove what's known as the delaying amendment on the S1 filing with the SEC, which is the name of the form, the document that you file with the SEC if you want to launch an ETF. And a delaying amendment tells the SEC that the issuer of the ETF wants the agency to formally declare the ETF effective. Now, if the issuer removes the delaying amendment, the filing becomes eligible to go effective completely automatically, actually. And that would happen after 20 days. So there's a built-in 20-day timer. And that's as long as the SEC does not choose to proactively intervene, which they always reserve the right to do. So even if it's set, you have an ETF, you file, you do all the paperwork right, it's set to go live, the SEC can just jump in and say, nope, actually, we're not going to allow you to do that, even though you didn't ask us to opine on this. So filing a document with the SEC in which the delaying amendment is removed, yes, starts a 20-day timer, after which the ETF in question can go live, though. So the 4 firms that already launched, they chose to remove their delaying amendments. And they did this because the normal SEC approval process stalled when the government shutdown hit in the beginning part of October this year. So with staff unavailable to formally declare anything effective, those issuers, they simply they switched strategies. So what they did was they used the automatic effectiveness path, if you will, because what it did is it let them launch on their own time, even if the SEC took no action, which they couldn't, obviously, when the government was shut down. So this is, just to be clear, this is not brand new. Issuers have always had the ability to remove the delaying amendment. Now, they rarely did it. They rarely did it before now, because the traditional process was seen as more cooperative and respectful. And so historically, it was absolutely common, and it has been up until this very point. And this you go way back to, like, I don't know, it might have been like 80 years ago. There was a brief time when it was common, but for almost all of history, it wasn't the case. So, but yeah, historically, it was, it's common to wait for the SEC staff to declare a filing effective rather than forcing an automatic date. So, firms think about this too. Firms also worried that pushing the process might trigger closer scrutiny or even a halt by the SEC. So even if you're a firm that removed the delaying amendment, SEC staff, which still absolutely has power over you no matter what, they might have thought you were bypassing staff review. That you were forcing the SEC's timeline, and that you were, making the SEC approve something through silence rather than a deliberate decision. And so SEC staff would probably view that as disrespectful and treat you accordingly, which would not be a good thing if you're trying to get an ETF approved. But there were two things that changed. The first one I already mentioned, it's the government shutdown, which again began early October this year and ultimately lasted a little over a month. I think it was sometime in the first, I can't remember if it was like November 12th or somewhere thereabout, the government shutdown finally ended, but it was a long one. But that created a situation where, waiting for a formal declaration, that could delay launches indefinitely, quite literally. Second, the regulatory culture shifted, with the change from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. It changed big time. Industry lawyers now view the automatic path as normal rather than aggressive, especially for crypto products that, frankly, they already fit within previously approved disclosure templates at this point. So, the first four issuers moved quickly. They made a calculated decision to do that. They removed the delaying language and allowed their ETFs to go effective on schedule, right? But then there's 21 shares, the one that was allegedly supposed to launch 4 days ago, but still to this very moment has not. So 21 shares, and this is where it starts to get more interesting. And I did pretty well get to the bottom of this, so hang with me. I do have the answer, but let me tell you everything in a particular order so that it all makes sense. So 21 shares, they did not remove the delaying amendment. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. More on why they probably didn't do that in a second, so I'll circle back to that. But first, I just need to clear up one major misunderstanding that kept circulating online. And I was already kind of hinting at it earlier in the video, but a lot of people thought 21 shares, that they thought 21 shares had triggered that 20-day countdown by removing the delaying amendment. When they filed their most recent amendment, which was on November 7th this year, and actually I have the document, so I'll pull it up for you. Here you can see at the top of your screen, November 7th, 2025. This is the most recent filing from 21 shares. And here you can see the relevant portion I already highlighted, which reads as follows. The registrant hereby amends this registration statement on such date or dates as may be necessary to delay its effective date until the registrant shall file a further amendment which specifically states that this registration statement shall thereafter become effective in accordance with Section 8A of the Securities Act of 1933, or until the registration statement shall become effective on such date as the Securities and Exchange Commission, acting pursuant to said Section 8A, may determine. And so that last bit right there, you can see the SEC, they're basically, to dumb it down, they're saying the SEC, it's not going active until the SEC may determine. That just means until they approve it. So that it's in there right now. The delaying amendment, it is in there. It has been added to it. This is the most recent filing. Again, that's November 7th, 2025. So given that this is publicly available information, what the hell happened here? Well, crypto media happened. Crypto media happened, folks. Take a look at this headline. This is from November 29th, and this is like comically stupid. Coinpedia. I'm going to be extra careful next time I come across an article from these geniuses. Here's the headline from November 29th. 21 shares XRP ETF set to launch on December 1st as ETF demand surges. Oh, is that right? Is that what's set to happen? Are you sure about that, Coinpedia? Look at what they did here. Check this out. This is, it's in a way, it's a little bit offensive how stupid this is, to be honest with you. Check this out. Subheading, 21 shares XRP ETF launches on December 1st, and they wrote the following. According to an SEC filing dated November 28th, 2025, 21 shares spot XRP ETF will be traded under the ticker TOXR and will officially begin trading on the CBOE BZX exchange on December 1st. Okay, is any of that true? No, it is not. But they wrote it because they're a bunch of C students doing what is allegedly a crypto media outlet, a publisher of sorts, I suppose. And what did they actually highlight? Well, it's almost like they didn't read what they cited as proof of this. What they cited as proof of this is a post from somebody on social media that goes by the name Bull Runners. Here's the actual post. This is from November 28th of this year. And they wrote the following. 21 Shares is set to roll out its spot XRP ETF this Monday. Another major step in bringing XRP deeper into mainstream finance. Now, of course, that when they say Monday there, that would be December 1st, 4 days ago, as of the time I'm recording this. And they shared this screen grab from the SEC website, and 21 Shares is referenced. And this says nothing about anything launching on December 1st, nothing whatsoever. It absolutely does not. There's a filing date from 21 Shares from November of 2024, over a year ago. This has nothing to do, this is not proof of anything. And again, the date that Bull Runners, this person who I'd never heard of on social media, posted this, that was November 28th. So Coinpedia came across this, those geniuses over there, they came across this post from this guy named Bull Runners, and then they're like, oh, that means that there's official verification from the SEC filing. They didn't even read the damn thing to see that the filing was from over a freaking year ago. And so what they cited as an SEC filing from November 28th, 2025, as you can see on the screen here, that's what Coinpedia wrote. It was actually November 28th, 2025 that this Bull Runners guy made his post on the internet. Just a random dude on the internet. That's where that date came from. And then Coinpedia, these freaking geniuses, they say, oh no, that date, that's relevant because of the SEC file. No, it's not. It literally is not. And nothing in this post says otherwise. Look at it. It's on your screen. Feel free to hit pause. There is nothing here. There is nothing here on your screen that says anything about November 28th or December 1st. It doesn't exist. It's not on your screen. So that is why that happened here. Do you see how stupid and hilarious this is, though? And so then they launched that story, and then what happens in crypto media so frequently, and it absolutely happened here, is every other fly-by-night crypto media outlet, they took the story, didn't verify any of it, and then they published it. And then another one saw that, and then they published that. And then it's just this long chain of idiocy with no one verifying anything. Isn't this their actual job to verify that? Like, their actual media, right? Is it not their job? Aren't they journalists? Like, seriously. I'm pretty sure the answer is supposed to be yes, right? Allegedly. It's allegedly what they're supposed to do. Oh, just the dumbassery here. What a bunch of goddamn chuckle fucks. Like, it's hard to believe this. And so the problem is that none of the reports of 21 Shares removing the Delaney Amendment, none of them were ever true. And it gets even more ridiculous. So the 20-day rule under Section 8A, it only applies if the Delaney Amendment has been removed. If that clause is still in the filing, then the countdown never starts at all. And even if it had started, it would have ended on November 27th because the SEC counts calendar days, not business days, and holidays like Thanksgiving. Those don't stop the clock. It's just calendar days. Every single day counts. So the people promoting December 1st as a launch date were stacking multiple incorrect assumptions on top of each other. That's exactly what they were doing. The Delaney Amendment, it's still there, as I showed you. That means there was no automatic countdown. There's no automatic effectiveness date. You know, there's no legal way for the ETF to launch on December 1st. Literally impossible. So then it leads us to this. So that's hilarious enough. But Okay, why didn't 21 Shares remove the Delane Amendment given that all their competitors did? That's an interesting question that's worth some healthy speculation. I'll bite. They seem to have chosen this path for several reasons. They might be comfortable waiting for clean declaration of effectiveness. They might have internal processes that require more coordination with their exchange partner before going live. That's always a possibility. They might also prefer the optics of the traditional review, especially since 21 Shares is, they're a pretty visible crypto ETP issuer in the world. And they could be looking, they just have a different perspective than other firms out there like Canary Capital, Franklin Templeton, Grayscale, so on and so forth. But it's also possible that they assumed the SEC would still act on time and did not anticipate the shutdown having this much impact. But there's no sign of a problem with their filing. There's no sign that there's a problem whatsoever. It's just that it's just a difference of strategy and timing. And so as far as why the SEC has not yet approved a 21 Shares spot XRP ETF to this point, even though they have the ability to do so at any moment, it may simply be the case that they're just working through a backlog created by the government shutdown. Because staff were not reviewing or approving any ETF filings or doing any work of any kind, with rare exception, during that entire shutdown period. So keep in mind, they were not working for nearly a month and a half. So I have no doubt, they have a lot to catch up on, let's say, okay? They will get through it, though. On that point, I certainly have no doubt. And in 21 Shares, they did ultimately verify what I just told you. So there's a post from an XRP community member named Arthur addressed to 21 Shares on X. And he wrote here, as you can see, I can't see the XRP guys. And that was on December 2nd, the day after everyone thought that this thing was going to go live. 21 Shares responded to Arthur and said, and this is on December 2nd, the day after everybody thought it was going to go live. And they said, we are waiting on the SEC to declare us effective. Please wait for the announcement from our official socials. And so there you go. They're acknowledging they can't launch because the SEC has not yet allowed them. And they can't launch on their own because of the way that they filed their document with the SEC. They did not remove the Delane Amendment. That was 21 Shares' choice. If they had removed it, then they would have been live by now. And it would have been fine. I don't know what the internal calculus is, which is why all I could do is speculate in this video, which I'm happy to do. But I suppose it probably wasn't the best idea to count on the SEC to do this, to be honest with you. Especially like once they're in government shutdown mode and you see what the competition's doing, you see it's the norm. But I guess, it could just be the case like they just didn't feel comfortable doing it. They're like, okay, well, this hasn't historically been the norm. We think our competitors are making a mistake here. We don't want to burn bridges with the SEC. Maybe it was something like that, And then there was also this. Somebody else wrote, I thought, and this is on December 3rd now, somebody wrote to 21 Shares and said, I thought 21 Shares XRP ETF was supposed to launch 2 days ago. And 21 Shares responded and said, our official channels never made that announcement. And so there you go. 21 Shares never said that they were going to announce, but all sorts of crypto media outlets reported that they did say they were going to, even though that's the made up thing. It's total fiction. Total fiction. And then it just gets propagated and it gets spread all over social media, and it is what it is. Which is why I'm taking the time to correct this, because this story has been discussed, I kid you not, at this point, it has to have been millions of times, because it's such a popular topic, all of these firms. And then if you factor in that with all of the stories that have been written about it all over the internet, it's almost all inaccurate. This is I'm willing to bet you hearing me describe this is probably the first true thing that you've heard from anybody about this, unless you saw these posts on your screen from 21 Shares. Because what I'm saying, unfortunately, is not popular knowledge, even though it definitely should be. But that's why I'm making this video. So it is what it is. And as you can see, as reported by Value, this is the latest. There are only 4 firms that have launched: Canary Capital, Grayscale, Bitwise, and Franklin Templeton. And you love to see it. Again, look, we're at almost 900 million in cumulative total net inflows. That's incredibly impressive. And of course, you are going to see 21 Shares and a number of other firms ultimately launch their spot XRP ETFs. It's just a waiting game right now. The SEC will eventually catch up. We just don't know what day it's going to happen. So one day we're just going to wake up and there will be the news. 21 shares launched and so on and so forth. It'll be all over. I'll talk about it on the channel right now. But isn't this idiocy just hilarious? Like it's impressive levels of incompetence. In particular, again, Coinpedia. What the hell? Because like you cited some dude that posted something on X as proof that the SEC had some sort of launch date set on their website. You didn't even read what you purported to be actual evidence of it. You clearly didn't even read it. It's hilarious. Like the incompetency, it's just stunning here. It does not say anything about that. What is wrong with these people? It's just all right. I'm gonna get out of here. At least it's funny. At least it's funny, right? We got that at least. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.